Hello friends, I'm Tim Wildsmith, and in this video we're going to be taking a closer look at the latest edition of the CSB Ancient Faith Study Bible. It's part of the handcrafted collection from Holman Bibles. Okay, so a little confession. I am a history nerd. I love history. When I was a kid in school, I loved history class. When I travel somewhere new, I like to learn the history of that place. When I was in seminary, I loved church history classes. And for my early church history class, the librarian at my seminary was the professor. And he used to do these really long lectures talking about all the early church fathers. And it was just, and I'm sure some people were bored to death, but I loved it. I have all of these notes and I refer to them all the time. It was really cool for me to see how in those first centuries, very near to the life of Jesus, how the church grew and the early years of the Christian faith developed. And because of that love for it, I really love the Ancient Faith Study Bible. That's what this is. The folks at Holman, the publisher of the CSB, the Christian Standard Bible, have created this. It actually came out a couple years ago, but this is a new edition in their very premium handcrafted collection. Beautiful goatskin cover. But the idea is that they are doing a study Bible with notes and information from the earliest ancestors of the Christian faith and some of the early thinkers who kind of got Christianity moving in those first few hundred years after the life of Jesus. So there's a lot of really famous folks in here, names that you've heard, but there's thoughts and ideas that are very old. So it's not your traditional study Bible. And I just think it's really fascinating. It's a great look at history. It's a great way to interact with the Bible and study the Bible, but then also to have some voices from history participating in that as you study. So it's definitely not the only study Bible I would have in my Bible library, but it's something cool and it's a different look. Like they do the CSB Holy Land Illustrated Study Bible. So it's like it has pictures of the Holy Land and lots of information about archaeology and history. This is another just unique version of a study Bible that I think is really helpful, and it's just an interesting tool. And so I really like the way they've done this. I'm glad to be reviewing it. Before we dive in, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. This is a closer look at the CSB Ancient Faith Study Bible. Okay, let's get a look at the box real quick. The Holman Handcrafted Collection. This is the newest premium line from Holman, which is the Christian Standard Bible publisher. The Ancient Faith Study Bible, study notes from early church fathers in black goatskin. Really nice, lovely two-piece box. Now this Ancient Faith Study Bible was first released a couple of years ago, and they have a couple of other editions of it, but this is a new version in this premium binding. So here you go, beautiful goatskin cover, very soft and smooth. It has a nice tight pebbled grain to it, very, very floppy. It looks great. It has a perimeter stitch around the outside. There you see 3 ribbons in different colors. On the spine, you get this double tooled line, Holy Bible, Christian Standard Bible, Holman, looks really sharp. On the inside, you do get a gold gilt line around the inside. There you see it says goatskin leather cover. On the back, beautiful art gilding, red under gold, looks nice. Edge-lined construction. It's got a sewn binding. Overall, really great. This is a very nice, smooth piece of goatskin, really floppy. I noted, now I have here the CSB single column wide margin from the handcrafted collection. I noted when I reviewed this recently that it's got a slightly stiffer piece of goatskin. So if I open that up, you can see it's kind of just a little bit more firm, whereas this one is a little bit floppier. And that's just different pieces of leather. But very, very similar in size and scope, these two Bibles, as far as the outside look and feel goes. But this one's just a little bit softer, and I like that quite a bit. As far as size goes, this Bible is 6 3/4 inches wide at the text block. It's 9 1/8 inches tall, and it is 2 inches thick, including the cover. So it's a big Bible, what you'd expect from a big study Bible like this. Now, opening it up, we have a presentation page there at the beginning. Ancient Faith Study Bible. You might notice right away that the paper has this kind of yellow tint to it, and that is kind of a nod, I think, to the fact that this is a historical study Bible looking at notes from the early church fathers from the first few centuries. Here you go, the CSB Study Bible copyright page. Now this design was first created a couple years ago. I don't think they've updated it with the 2020 update of the CSB. It usually says that here, so I think this is the 2017 text. There you see the other bindings. There's a hardcover edition, and there's a couple of leather touch editions. Those have been out for a little while. Then you have the contents. Additional features, I'm going to walk you through everything that's included in this Bible. The contributors and acknowledgments, a note from the compiler of these study notes, the intro to the Christian Standard Bible. I'm getting here to this article from Trevin Wax, Reading the Bible with the Church Fathers. If you get this Bible, I'd really encourage you to read this article up front. It's really just a couple of pages, but I love some of the things he says in here about how to approach this Bible and the idea that there's a lot of different things in here from a wide variety of different people, and he says you're going to be challenged by it. It's going to cause you to think about things in a different way. You may not agree with everything in here, and he said that. I don't necessarily agree with everything I read here, but we wanted to give you a look at the theology of the early church and the early history of the church, which I think is really cool. So then we get to Genesis, and I'm going to show you right here in the first few pages of Genesis, you get a good look at the features of this Bible. So every book comes with a book introduction, so you get kind of the structure of it, the circumstances of it being written, that sort of thing, as well as some notes from the early church fathers. Then here's the main part of the text on this page over here. So 2-column text, it's a 9-point font. It's the Bible serif. It looks really sharp. I'll bring this up in a second so you can see it. And then you have this like triple line. There's some textual notes there with the translation. And then 3 columns of the study notes. So it's not telling you like the traditional like study note material. It's literally thoughts from these early leaders in the church about what they thought about this section of Scripture. So there you see Genesis 1:1, Basil the Great. Genesis 1:3, Augustine. Their thoughts about this part of Scripture, some of the things that they think. So as you're reading Genesis, you're interacting with early church leaders and what they thought about this text. I think that's really an interesting way to study the Bible. So you definitely still need a normal study Bible, but this is a unique way to interact with history of the church, I would say. Here's an article called Creation Out of Nothing. This Bible is filled with articles like this, just short articles that kind of highlight what passage of Scripture you're in and talk about some of the historical thinking about it. So there's articles. You see here how that kind of looks, just the setup of the 2-column layout with the 3-column notes, 9-point up here. I think this is about a 7.5 point font down here. Here you get a biography or a profile. This is of Irenaeus of Lyons. So throughout this Bible, there's going to be a lot of different profiles of the people who are included in notes. You can read more about their history and their contributions to the early church. I really like that. There's another article. Then you have something here. This is called Twisted Truth. So even though they say you're going to disagree with some things, they're really giving you a lot of different thinking. But every now and then they're going to throw in something called this little Twisted Truth box. And that's going to basically say, hey, this one is about Origen, saying here's a place where we think Origen got a little bit off. And they're going to note that here in these Twisted Truth sections. And then there you have this little call out from Augustine's Confessions. You'll find some of those throughout the Bible. So you get the study notes down here at the bottom. You get the articles, you get the biographies and profiles, you get the book introductions, and that's the way this Bible runs. It's just it's chock full of stuff like this. So the idea here is as you're reading and studying the Bible, you're interacting historically with the earliest leaders in the church who kind of helped develop that actual theology. As far as the look on the page goes, you see it's got red accents for the chapter numbers, the verse numbers. Down here in the study notes right there, looks really good. The text is beautiful, it's easy to read, it's comfortable. I'm not sure if you can tell on the video, but the pages have this like yellow tint to them. It's that nod to the fact that this is kind of engaging with history. So it's kind of a nod to that compared to, say, this one who has bright white. So let me see if I can show you. There, you can see kind of white versus this yellowish tint. It just makes it different. It's the kind of thing where like when you open this Bible up, you're going to know which Bible you're using for sure. Looks really great. You got a verse-by-verse sections for the books of poetry, but it's going to be a paragraph format everywhere else like this, and it just kind of keeps going straight through the Bible. You see just little accents here and there. It's definitely a unique Bible. It's not something I think you're going to want to like use all the time every day, but cool to interact historically with some of the early thinkers in the church for sure. Now, there's a few cool things at the back of the Bible. So at the end of Revelation 22, you do get the Apostles' Creed as well as the Nicene Creed, which makes sense. They were developed during this era where this Bible is kind of focusing on. Suggested reading, the biographical index. I really like this. So this is Everybody who's included in the study notes, there's a little biography of them, and then there's an index for all of the places where notes from them are included. So for example, here, first one is Ambrose. You can read a little bit about Ambrose, and then you can see all of the places where there are notes in this Bible from Ambrose. So if you find, hey, somebody I really like, Irenaeus or something like that, you can come back here and go, I want to check out all the different notes from Irenaeus in this Bible. You also get a concordance, 3-column concordance. Again, all this uses red to kind of accent the page. Looks really well. So you get the biographical index, you get the concordance, and then you get a few blank pieces of paper for notes, well, lined pages for notes that look nice, and then some Bible maps that are on a slightly thicker, non-glossy cardstock. Look pretty good. Overall, this is a cool Bible if you are a history fan or you want to engage a little bit with the theology of the early church. This is a really interesting Bible to do that with. It has a lot of cool features and a lot of great information from the earliest thinkers that shaped the church. So there you have it. That's the CSB Ancient Faith Study Bible. This is the Holman handcrafted collection edition. It's really premium, but they also make it in a hardcover edition as well as a leather touch edition. So there's a lot of different versions of this Bible out there. And if you want to check that out, I will put a link in the description of this video so you can purchase one of these. Also put a link to BibleReviewBlog.com where I've got a write-up about this Bible and more great photos. I would love to know what you think. So leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about this Bible. And while you're here on YouTube, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. I've got a lot of great study Bible videos, lots of reviews and unboxings, so check out the channel while you're here. And visit us on social media. We've got a great following on Instagram and Facebook, a great Bible review blog community out there for you to be a part of as well. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.